Hi all, my name's Alex. Welcome to my channel where I will talk all things horror and queer related in film. This is my first YouTube video, so I am still getting used to, the lighting, which I know probably isn't that great, and I will be playing with it a bit over the next few weeks and hopefully trying to make my setup a little bit better. So please be nice and bear with me while I do that. So I will be talking about a new Australian horror film today called Dangerous Animals, which recently came out in Australia. I believe it was early to mid-June. So hopefully I can let you guys know whether or not this is worth going to check out in the cinemas or not. So Dangerous Animals is directed by Sean Byrne, who also directed The Loved Ones, which is one of my all-time favourite horror or favourite Australian horror movies. Highly recommend checking that out if you get a chance. I might talk about it at some point on this channel, but I am at this stage focusing on more newer releases for now. And he also directed The Devil's Candy, which came out in, I think it was 2015, which I actually checked out for the first time recently, and it was alright. Definitely didn't like it as much as I did The Loved Ones, or even Dangerous Animals, but it definitely is still worth checking out. So this film is about a surfer, Zephyr, who gets abducted by a serial killer, and she basically must try and escape before she is fed to sharks. I don't want to say too much to avoid spoilers, and I know, yes, the shark subgenre is so overdone at this point. It's literally a genre in itself, as you're probably aware if you're a horror fan like myself. I believe the tagline for this is Jaws meets Wolf Creek, and then there's another one which is You're Safer in the Water, which I really like and actually was one of the reasons that drew me into this film. I do love a good creature feature. The first one that comes to mind is 2007's Rogue, which is also another Australian horror film set amongst absolutely beautiful scenery, and also has some incredibly tense moments. So I do recommend checking that one out if you have some time. We'll try and keep this as, like I said before, as spoiler free as possible, and because it is my first video, we'll keep it short as well, as I don't want to obviously, bore anyone, and I want to just keep it short and sweet. Now I can say after seeing the film that I do recommend it, definitely, even if it's just for a one-time watch. There wasn't a huge focus on the sharks in this, which I do like. A lot of the violence in this film did focus predominantly around the main antagonist in the film, played by Jai Courtney, who did a really great job in the film. I don't think I've seen him in anything else. But it did remind me a bit of a combination of Lola from The Loved Ones and Mick Taylor from Wolf Creek. And yeah, just incredibly fucked up as the movie goes along. He loves torturing and killing people in very ferocious ways. Even his mannerisms and the way he kind of dances around the place, I think, he is a really strong antagonist in this. And I do think that the film was trying to highlight that the dangerous animals aren't always the ones that are found in the ocean or in wildlife. Unfortunately, there are men out there that kidnap and torture and kill women. And as I said before, the tagline, You're Safer in the Water, I think kind of is basically saying, the animals in the water are going to keep you safer than the man on the boat. And yeah, as I mentioned before, the sharks not being the main focus in the film, I do appreciate that they're not highlighted to be these massive man-eating machines that just want to kill people for fun. At the end of the day, the ocean is their home, and if you are bleeding out, or if they haven't eaten in a while, or if you are made of muscle and your name is Moses, oh my goodness, there is some serious eye candy in this movie if that's what you like. A lot of muscle, and a lot of the time it was hard to tell who the main protagonist was. As I was saying, the sharks, they're not the main antagonist in the film, and there is actually one scene in particular that I and my partner as well actually thought was quite beautiful, where, and I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to spoil anything, but the main protagonist, Zephyr, she's in the water, and there's just this scene that kind of highlights that she has this huge respect for the ocean and the creatures in the ocean, and she just loves nature. And it was just a really beautiful moment. If you've seen the film, you might know which scene I'm talking about. But yeah, she's just, wanting to enjoy life, driving around, and She is also a massive badass in this. I do love a strong badass female protagonist in a film, especially horror films, and saying that she has, you know, such a respect and appreciation for wildlife and the ocean is a massive green flag. Yeah, not much more I love more than a badass final girl, to be honest, and I probably will make some videos talking about my favorite final girls and why I love them. And I do also love a good cat and mouse game in horror movies, which I think this film does a good job of focusing on, especially in the second and third act. I do think that the third act could have gone on for a bit longer, but overall it was good. And there was some really fun, gory moments throughout, if you do like that as well. Some of the acting in parts, this is more so just my gripe with the film. In parts, they are quite minor, but I don't want to be too negative. And I do think that the third act could have been drawn out a little bit more. And I also think that some of the acting wasn't overly convincing in parts. Again, this is just my personal opinion. And I do so, although some of the gore in it was fun, I do also wish that there was a little bit more. But like I said, it's just my opinion and it is a minor gripe with the film that I have. But overall, I do highly recommend checking this one out. Like I said, even if it's just for a one-time watch, and especially if you are a fan of creature features, especially Aussie creature features like Rogue and other Aussie horror films like Wolf Creek and The Loved Ones. So yeah, definitely give this one a go. If you have any thoughts about the film, I'd love to hear your thoughts below. Yeah, and hopefully I'll be able to put up some more videos soon. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.